Good evening, everyone. Am I audible? Kindly confirm whether I am audible or not. Yes, audible. So, without getting delay, I would like to share my screen immediately. Is my screen visible? Are you able to see my screen? Yes. Okay. Okay. So, I'm going to open the coding part we left yesterday. So, I think this is our project, right? So, project hyphen training. So, let me click on OK to open that project in the Visual Studio Code panel. Yes, we created a to-do list. So we created a to-do list and we imported that in app.js. So, but we are not able to get the proper result, right? Let me take server to execute this. So I'm going to use npm start and execute by pressing enter. Yes, we used get data, and this is not a function. So we didn't use any kind of function keyword, right? So what we have to do, we have to use arrow symbol. So we have to define with a arrow. So we are going to set this data. So we just used this dot set state, and we are going to implement this form info because we are getting information from this form info. Initially, this is an empty string, and we are storing a new value which we are getting from the input field. That is e dot target dot value. All right. Very similar to this, we just used another function that is store data. In that store data, we are using another set state function for setting the state, and we are using this data. So here we are going to store that information in the form of collections. That is the reason we used an empty array. That's fine up to now, and the server is getting started. And here we used rest parameter. In this data array. And finally, yes, we are displaying the data, whether the data is storing or not. So we have to know that is the reason we are getting that information from the data, and we are displaying that information in the front end part. Screen is not visible. Okay. Now, is my screen visible? Kindly confirm. No. So much of noise. Am I audible now? Kindly confirm. It's visible. Yes, it's visible. What about my voice? Audio. So, are you able to hear my voice properly? Yes, a screen is visible. What about my audio? Audible. It's okay. That's fine. So, now it's time to execute the program. So, let me type some kind of example here. I'm going to type an example. So when we are going to type that example, we have to display that information in the console window. I just typed the hi and click on plus symbol. That's fine. And here I'm going to use hello. And now we're able to see that the information is storing here. But we used some kind of console of log statement. That is the reason we are.
All of us
Screen is not visible.
offerings, but do we ever
My screen is it's visible for me. Yes. Not visible. I think it's visible. So it's visible for me. I'm able to see my screen in the another window also. Okay, okay, done. So here we are able to store that information. So whatever information we are going to enter, and when we are going to click on this button, we are able to store that information here. Alright. So here let me open the coding part. Yes, we used console.log statement. That is the reason we are able to get that information from the state. Now we know that information is storing in the data variable, that is an array. So now it's time to display that information here. So what we have to do, we have to use a map function. So I'm going to use this dot state dot data dot map function, and it accepts two parameters. First one is for item and second one is for index. So I just used a return statement also. Now in this I'm going to print the h2 element along with the content from the data variable. So we have to print the item. And here we have to pass the key prop, right? So because we have to provide the uniqueness to each and every element in this. The key prop is index 1. So we just used a map function, that is this dot state dot data dot map, and we are using item index. So h2 key to see that information. This is fine. Alright. So let me save this and execute in the browser. So just refresh. It's visible. Okay. So I'm going to use. Are you able to see my screen, right? It's visible. So I'm going to use my name and click on button. Now that information is storing. And very similar to this, I'm going to use another name. That is Rajesh. That is also storing here. Now it's time to apply styles. Now I'm going to apply styles to this. So I'm going to use app.css. So here we are using h2, right? So I'm going to use h2 again.
Let's discuss.
So here I'm going to use the tag name selector, that is h2.
Packages are Anna.
Rajesh sir, we are getting noise from your side. Kindly mute yourself. Yes. So h2, and we have to use styles for this. So I'm going to use border, that is 1px solid and hash ddt. All right. Very similar to this, we have to use a few more styles. Let me save this and execute in the browser. Now we're able to see the borders. All right. And I'm going to use margin property, that is 0px. I'm going to use 0px, that's it. Yes, that's fine. And padding, that is 1%. And very similar to this, we have to use the width property. I'm going to use width 40%. Yes, but we're observing that it is in the left side. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use margin property again, margin 0px. This is the 0px, and I'm going to use author. Let me save this. Now we're able to see that information in the center. So Hanuman and Rajesh, we're able to see that information. You can add any kind of other information, something like Kalyan. Alright, so very similar to this, I'm going to use Swami. Okay, so each and every information we are going to save that in the data. So I'm going to add new information, that is Raja, and very similar to this, I'm going to add another info, something like I3. So whatever the information, we can store that information in that array and we can display that information here. This is called to-do list. And we can store multiple data. We can store the large amount of data. So we can get the date and all this information, and we can store that all the information in the array also. So this is a sample example. We just store that information in an array, and we are going to display that information here. Is that clear, everyone? Is that clear? Fatima, Anand, Rajsekar Reddy, Durga Vasu. Is that clear, everyone? Yes, Likita. Yes, Ganesh. What about others? Yeah, Nagendra. Nagendra also. Amarnath. I think he is absent for today. Clear. So we already discussed map is used for getting information from the collection. So when we are going to iterate all the elements from the map or any kind of collection, we have to use the map function. And map accepts two parameters. The first one is for item and the second one is for index. As we discussed earlier, right? Amarnath is also there. So I think it's clear up to now, right? Everyone? So if you are having any kind of doubts, you can ask me. Yes, it's clear. Clear for now. Okay. Clear for now. That's one. So what is a rest parameters? Yes, that is also a very very important question. This is also we discussed earlier. So rest parameter, by using rest parameter we can store the rest of elements. If you observe this here, we used some kind of coding part that is in app.js. So in the app.js we used the rest parameters. So if you observe this here, so we just used this dot state dot data, and we are storing the dynamical information from the input field. That is this dot state dot form info. So when we are going to use this rest parameter, we can. This is not a rest parameter. This is the spread parameter here. So we are spreading all the elements in the array. Both are same for declaration, the rest and spread. But by using rest parameter, we can increase the number of elements in the array. Whereas by using rest parameter, we can combine or we can calculate the rest of parameters from the array. Here this is not a rest parameter, this is a spread parameter. By using this, we can spread all the elements in the array. That means when we are going to add a new item, that will be added to this array. So not only single one, we can add multiple values to this. So when we are going to add multiple elements into an array dynamically, in that case we have to use the spread operator. Say the to-do list code. Okay. I hope you completed this one. So sir, if you want to call an API, how can we do that? Yes, we can do that by using Axios. Definitely, I will tell you how to use that also. Don't worry about it. type error, class extends value undefined is not a constructor or null. I got this type of error, sir. So is there any possibility to share your screen here? Venkat Nagendra. Okay, sir, clear. And Venkat Nagendra, is there any possibility to share your screen here? Let me take a look into this. There is no option. You requested for mic access. He requested for mic access. So yes. You can speak out. Venkat Nagendra, you can speak out now. Okay, now very similar to this, we have to implement the function that is deleting. So how we're going to delete the information from the to-do list. So for example, I'm going to add a new button here. So that is button, and this is for deleting. We just added a button. This is for deleting. I'm going to use the delete option also, and I'm going to use a class name. The class name for this is delete button. Delete and B caps. So I just used delete button. And just save this and execute in the browser. It's not shared, sir. No option. Okay, now let me execute this program, and we are able to see delete. Again, I'm going to add another item that is something like Rajesh. And when we are going to add this, we have to delete it. When we are going to click on this delete button, we have to delete this. That is also one of the important criteria here. So I'm going to use on click event. On click. So what we have to do, so we have to call a function that is something like delete data. Delete data is the function here. So we have to use this keyword, this dot delete data. So delete data is a function. So we just used delete data. That means this dot delete data, when we are going to click on this button, we have to delete that item. So, and we have to pass the value for this. For example, I'm going to use index. So we know we have an index here. So for better understanding, I'm going to use Let me execute this one first. And I'm going to use this function, that is delete data. So we have to create another function with the name of delete data. Delete data, and here we have to pass a parameter because we are getting information that is indexed here. So I'm going to use e as a parameter, that is something like even, and I'm going to print the e value here by using console.log statement, console.log and e. I just used e as a parameter here, and let me execute this program. I'm going to enter the values. First one is Hanuman. All right, and when we are going to click on this delete button, so we're able to see the 0 as the index value. And very similar to this, I'm going to add another item. Rajesh. I just added the Rajesh, and now we're able to see that is 1. So when we're going to click on this, we have to get that information from this 1. So we just used, so to share my screen. Okay, don't worry, we will connect you privately. Don't worry, Venkata Nagendra. Okay, so whatever it may be, I'm going to pass the parameter from here. That is something like index again. Alright, so I'm going to pass the index, and here I'm going to use the arrow function. And here also we have to use the braces. And now we are implementing that function here. Delete data and e, we are able to see that information. So that is console.log statement. And now it's time to execute this. Just refresh. And again enter the value. That means Hanuman. I just entered the value of Hanuman. Click on this plus symbol, and now we are able to see that information. When we want to click on data, that is delete. So what is that? So we have 0. So 0, that's fine. So let me use the value from that here. So for example, what is the value exists in this? So 0. Okay. When we're going to click on another button, something like Rajesh, and just press enter and click on delete button, again we're able to see another button here. That is DT1. So what about the detail of this one? So that is also 1, but we're not able to get any kind of information from this. Okay, so that means we are able to see that. So we are able to click on this delete, and now we are able to see that information that belongs to the value here, right? That is target and type equals to click, and we are able to see all kind of data here. Okay, for better understanding, I'm going to use the value here. So because we are able to see that information, that is Hanuman and Rajesh, and there is a delete button also. So whatever maybe we have to pass a sample information. So I'm going to use value here. So that is this one, right? So I'm going to send a data that is value. The value here is index only. So we know what is the index is having here. So very similar to this, I'm going to use even instead of index, because for better understand. So this is dot bind data, this is dot delete data, and we have to use index. Instead of index, we have to use event. So that's fine. So we're passing the value that is index value. That's fine. And what we have to do, we have to print the value from this. So we have to use e dot target dot value. E dot target dot value. Just save this and execute in the browser once. Refresh, and I'm going to enter the values. It is something like Hanuman, and click on delete. Now we're able to see the information, that is 0. And again I'm going to add Rajesh. So what will happen when you're going to click on add, and I'm going to click on this delete. Now that is 1. So we are able to see the index values. Very similar to this, I'm going to use Kalyan and click on add button. Now this is the Kalyan, and when we are going to click on this, the index value of this is 2. We came to understand we are able to see the index values here. But how we are going to delete that? That is very, very important. How we are going to delete that values from here? So we just used the value that is index so that we can access that information by using e dot target dot value. Because we are passing a parameter that is event, and this dot daily data, and this is also an event, right? So we are passing the data. That's fine. Now, first of all, we have to print a statement. For example, if I'm going to use confirm, are you sure, wanna delete the info. So first of all, we have to do this, and then if the value is true, then we have to delete that information from the data. Alright, so here we are able to see one kind of message, unexpected use of confirm. Okay, no problem. I'm going to use return confirm in the button itself. So here this is the button. I'm going to use return confirm. Return confirm along with the value, that is, are you sure? No, whatever it may be, we have to use that information in the event only. So we just use a function, and we have to use the confirm. That is very, very important. Let me use return confirm, are you sure? So here we are able to see unexpected use of confirm. So we have to pass this data, and based on the condition, we have to delete that item. Let me use window.confirm, because this is not confirmed. We have to use window.confirm. So I'm going to use window.confirm. You can save this and execute in the browser. I'm going to enter the values. This Hanuman. Click on this delete. Now we're able to see. Are you sure? So if you click on this, we have to delete the item. So that is the reason we have to use if condition. If that means if it returns the true condition, then we have to implement that part. So how we are going to delete the data? So tell me how we are going to delete the data from the array? How we are going to delete an item from an array? We already discussed about it. Absolutely. So Mahesh responded. So we can use delete. When we are going to use delete, the deleted value will be replaced with empty. But when we are going to use splice, we can delete the complete element. So let me use that here. So what we have to do, we have to delete that item. So first of all, we have to get the data. So this dot set state, we have to use this dot set state, and this is the method. And what we have to do, so we have to use the data, and here this dot state dot data dot splice, and we have to pass the index value. So what is the index value here? So e dot target dot value, that is the index value. And what we have to do, we have to pass the number of elements we have to delete, that is 1. So we have to delete one item. So let me save this and execute in the browser again. By splice, yes, by using splice, yes, absolutely. Most of the people are responding. That's fine. Thank you, everyone. And I'm going to enter the values Hanuman, and that's fine. I'm going to add another item, that is Rajesh, and add. Now I'm going to click on this. So it's asked me to, are you sure? Let me click on OK. Now that element gets deleted. So very similar to this, I'm going to add another item, that is Hanuman again. So let me click on this delete. OK. No, the item is not deleting, but the previous item is deleting here. So let me click on this delete. Are you sure? Yes. No? Delete. Are you sure? Yes. Okay. Yes, we are not able to delete that. So whatever it may be, we have to store that information. We have to calculate that index value properly. So the index value was changing. That is the reason we are not able to observe it properly. So for example, I'm going to use Rajesh, and then click on OK. Let me click on this delete button, and now we're able to see this is wrong scenario. So whatever it may be, we have to delete the specified index. So we are not able to delete the specified index value because the index value is not changing. So that is the reason this functionality is not working here. We have to change that value dynamically. So we have to modify the array indexes also. So this is the array, and we have to modify the index values. So the index value the positions are not sufficient for this, so we refresh. I'm going to add new information, that is Hanuman. If we delete this, we're not able to delete that information. So there is a mistake in this. Open the code. Yes, it's fine. And here I'm going to use the console the clock statement. that is e dot target dot value. We save this, and now it's time to add that information. I'm going to add Hanuman and press enter. OK. Now click on delete. That is 0. So that means we are going to delete that information. But the information is remains same. We are not able to delete that information. So when we are going to have number of items here, for example, Hanuman is there. Just start on this, and we have to add another item, that is something like Rajesh, and just click on this, that is 1. So we are going to get this information when we are going to click on this. So we have to delete the specific item. But so what's happening here? So we are not able to get that information properly. If window.confirm are issued, that's fine, and we're able to see set state data this dot state dot data splice e dot target dot value, and this is 1. We delete this 0, means we have to delete that item. So for better understanding, I'm going to use an array here, where arr equals to, I'm going to use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright. And here this is an array, and I'm going to use arr dot splice function, splice, and here I'm going to use 0, 1. So 1 will be removed. Let me print arr. Now this is 2, 3, 4, 54, and 5. Very similar to this. So first of all, what kind of data we are getting from this index? That is very, very important. So let me use the type of, so why it is, so why it placed 1. So this one, because number of elements, this is number of elements we are going to delete, and we have to use the type of, let me save this and execute in the browser. Again, check the console window. I'm going to add new item, that is Hanuman. You click on this. Now we're able to see that is a string kind of data. That is the reason we are not able to delete that item. So first of all, we have to convert it into the number kind of data, number format. So number, and after that we have to use the splice method. Alright, so now let me check it out. So refresh all the stuff, and here first example, that is Hanuman. I just added Hanuman, and after that I'm going to add new item, that is Rajesh, and again I'm going to add Kalyan, and press delete. So Kalyan only there, remaining elements gets deleted. So we just used this dot data, this dot state dot data dot splice. That's fine. E dot target dot value, that is in the number kind of data, and we are sending the position. Again, recheck this. So let me click on this, delete. We're not able to delete that. Click on add, and I'm going to add some other information. Yes, Kalyan, it's fine. Let's click on this. Kalyan is on, Kalyan only there. Remaining elements gets deleted. If window.confirm, are you sure? Beta targeted value. So we are going to delete a specific element, then only, yes, this dot state dot data dot splice number of e dot target dot value come over. That's fine. Refresh this and let me check what happened here. Let's click on Hanuman. Only one element gets deleted. But the deletion operation is not performed based on the index value. Specifications assigning splice data assigning to data. Yes, we have to assign the data, right? So whatever that information is available, we have to assign the data to this data. So let me use this data splice function. So we are able to pass the data. That's also fine. Let me use the console.log statement after the window.confirm, so that we can check whether this information is getting or not. Hanuman and click on delete. Kalyan. I just had a new element, that is Kalyan. Click on delete. That is 1. First of all, we have to print the array, that is data. I'm going to use the data and check them. So we have to understand what kind of information we are storing in that. So that is this dot state dot data. This dot state dot data. And save this and execute in the browser again. Hi. Bye. I just used hello also. Let me click on delete. We're able to see hi, bye, hello. Yes, everything is fine. So first of all, we have to understand the process. So hello is there, and I'm going to add another item, that is hi, and another one that is something like bye. We just added 3 items here. So when we are going to click on this delete, we have to get this information. So we are able to see that information, that is also fine. But here we are using splice function. Either target dot value, that is in the number kind, and we are able to delete 1 item. Okay, so this dot set state and everything is fine. So we're able to get that information. That is also everything is fine. So, but what happened here? So let me cross check this one again. So we have to check whether the index value is calling or not. So console.log, and we have to use the e. So that is e dot target dot value. That's fine. So for rechecking, so whether we are getting information from the data. Refresh, and I would like to add information very similar to this. I'm going to add by also. I just added how. Now click on delete. Yes, this is very fine. We're able to see that too. So delete, that is 0. 1, that is also 1. That's fine. Whatever the information is available, we're able to see that here. But we are not able to adjust that information here. So either target at value, and this is type of string. So type of that is a string. So we already know about it. So because we already checked it, I just used the type of, and when we are going to click on this, we use hi. This is a new example. How? Click on add. I just used by also. So let me click on this delete. That is a string kind of data. So that is the reason we are converting that into a number kind of data. So let me use number of e dot target dot value. So whatever it may be, we have to use that information in the body section, where index equals to number of e dot target dot value. All right. So finally, we have to print that index also here. That is index. Just save this and type the example text here. Hi, and I'm going to use how. Let me click on delete. Now that is a number. Click on delete. That is also a number. Now everything is fine. So what we have to do? So we have to use this dot set state function, and here we have to use data. So that is this dot state dot data dot splice, because data is an array. So that is the reason we used to splice, and what we have to do, we have to pass the index comma 1. Let me save this and execute in the browser again. Let me click on hi. Again by also. Something like hello. I just added this information. Let me delete this. So we have hello, but other remaining elements gets deleted. I have a doubt when we create from and send to others for filling information, then after where to store that kind of data. Yes. So we in database only. Yes. Durga was responded in database, but here React is completely a front-end technology, right? So we need not use any kind of databases here. So that is the reason we are using the array. So we are using an array for deleting that information. So whatever it will be, we have to adjust all the elements in the array. So it's better to use this is data, right? So it's better to use the array again. I'm going to use spread operator, splice index comma 1, and save this and execute in the browser again. Let me use hi. I just used how also. Let me click on delete. No. So I don't want to delete this completely by using a traditional method. So first of all, I'm going to store that information in an array. So for example, var array equals to, I'm going to take this as a array with spread operator. So here I'm going to use this dot state dot data. That's fine. So this is an array now. So from this I'm going to delete that item. So by using array dot splice function, and I'm going to use index comma 1, and after this I'm going to use this dot set state function, and here I'm going to use data, and that is array. Alright, so I think it's clear. So it will be working fine because we are getting information from the state. That is very complex scenario, because when we are going to get that information from the state, it is not possible to change the positions. So let me take a look into the output. So just refresh each and everything, and I'm going to add hi. It is similar to this. I'm going to add by also. We click on delete. Yes, it's fine now. We're able to delete that, because that is the reason when we're going to get that information, we are not able to adjust the positions. So now it's better to use the confirm. So I'm going to use the confirm. So if confirm are you sure, I want to delete this item. I just used this, and we have to place entire section, entire the body part, that is from array.splice to all the stuff in the if condition. Alright, so we're able to fail to compile. Unexpected use of, yes, we have to use window.confirm, right? So window.confirm. So and save this and execute in the browser. Let me refresh. So let me add Hanuman. No. I'm able to. Now it's time to get information from your side. So first one is Durga Vashi. Yes, that's fine. And Fatima. Don't mind if any kind of spelling mistakes. And we have Anand. So we have many other people, right? So for there in the meeting, yes, we have different kinds of people. Naveen is there. Naveen, Mahesh. Naveen, Mahesh, Venkat, Nagendra. No, it's yes. Naveen, Mahesh. I'm going to use Venkat. So we just added this kind of information. Alright. So let me click on this delete. So no, I'm going to delete this Naveen. Let me click on the list, delete. Naveen gets deleted. Very similar to this, I'm going to click on Anand. So let me click on this. Now Anand gets deleted. Very similar to this, I'm going to delete Mahesh. So let me click on this delete, and we're able to see a pop-up. Let me click on this OK. Now that is also deleted. And very similar to this, I'm going to click on Durga Vasu. So that item is also deleted. Similarly, Venkat, that is also deleted. Finally, Fatima. If you want to delete this, that item also deleted. So this is how we are going to implement the to-do list by using Chetan is also there. So that is the reason I got this type of type error, class extends value undefined. No. Yes, okay. So now we are able to see that all the information here. Is it clear, everyone? Is it clear? It's clear. So what about others? Amarnath, Fatima, and what about others? Is that clear, everyone? So, sir, is it possible to work with database with React? Yes, it's also possible. Open the code once. Okay, let me open the code once. Explain once the deletion part. Okay, the deletion part. So if you observe this, so when we're going to delete an item directly from the state, that is very difficult. Remember, everyone. So that is the reason I just take a variable. I just used a variable, that is index, var index, and here we are getting information from e.target.value. That means, so we are passing the data from this button. We are passing the data from this button. In this button, we are passing the data. So by using event, when we are going to use event, that means we are passing entire button. And here we assigned a value, that is an attribute, and this is the index. You know what is an index? Index is nothing but a specific index for a specific item. That is up to now, that is clear, right? So here what we are going to do, so we are just using var index, and we are converting that value into a number kind, because we are getting a string kind of data. So this is very difficult to pass the data into the splice function. So that is the reason I used a number function here for converting, and I'm going to store that information in the index variable. And very similar to this, we are going to delete or we are going to do any kind of manipulations in this array. So that is the reason we used where array equals to this dot state dot data. So we used a spread operator because when we are going to delete an item, that index positions will be adjusted. So that is the reason we used spread operator. And after that we used window.confirm because we need to confirm that it should not delete the direct value. We have to make a decision from the user. That is the reason we used window.confirm. And by using splice method, we can delete an item from the array. So here we are using array.splice, and the index is which we are getting from the specific element. For example, here once we are having something like, for example, I'm going to use hi, and I'm going to use by, and similarly I'm going to use hello. So these are the different kinds of information we have. So when we are going to click on this delete button, that means we are sending the index value of this. If you click on this delete button, we are sending the index value of this one. So that is the reason we used a splice function here. Here splice function and index. So index is the position which we are going to delete the item, and number of elements we are going to delete, that is 1. So we have to delete a specific number of elements. That is the reason we specify the 1 as the second parameter. And this is all about the delete operation. After the deletion, we have to store this array into the data. Data is nothing but available in state. So I just used this dot set state, and I used the data, and we assign the array here. So this is all about the deletion operation in React. So this is to-do list, just a to-do list. Alright. So if you want to store the data in the format of object also, that is also fine. So is it clear, Chetan? Chetan. Chetan, is that clear? Can you respond in the chat box? Okay. So we can store the date and all the stuff also. So if you want to store the objects also, that is also very, very important for storing. So what we have to do, so we have to create an object, something like this, form info, and this is the data, right? So we are using form info and data. And here what we have to do, we are storing the form info, store data. When we are going to click on the plus symbol, we are going to store that information. So here I'm going to create another item, something like so date. So where date equals to, I'm going to use new date. New date. Alright, so we just used where date equals to new date. Alright, so where date equals to new date. If you want to get information from the month and year and the hours, minutes and seconds, what we have to do, so we have to call all the functions here. So I'm going to create another variable where entire date equals to, I'm going to use the ternary operator, the string literal, and here I'm going to use date. So first of all, what we have to do, so we have to get information from the date. So we have to store the month, no, date. So for that we have to use get date function. Get date function. So date dot get date function. This is for getting information, that is date only. Get date function, and similarly, so that's fine. And very similar to this, what we have to do, we have to use a slash symbol. After that, we have to mention the month. So I'm going to use get month. Get month. And finally, we have to get the year also. For that, what we have to do, we have to use get full year. Get full year is the another function. So I'm going to use get full year. I just used to get full year. So get full year, and very similar to this, we have to store the hours, minutes, and seconds also. So for that, I'm going to use an hyphen symbol. Again, I'm going to copy that value. So here we have to use get hours. Get hours. And very similar to this, we have to use colon for minutes. So this is get minutes. And very similar to this, we have to use get seconds. So get seconds, that's fine. So we just store that entire information in the format. So finally, we have to store that information in the format of object here. So I'm going to use an object. The first one is something like info. I'm going to take info. And this is an object, right? So we have to store the data. So for that, we have to use date function. So date is the key here, date, and I'm going to store the entire date. That means we are storing the values in the format of object. So we are storing the info as well as the date also. So here, if you observe this, we are able to see an error. Entire date is not defined. So let me take an example. Yes, entire date. ENTIRE, entire date. This is not data, so this is date. Okay. So that means we are storing that information in the format of object along with the data from date field. So we are storing the date as well as the information. Okay. So here, if you observe this, our issue, we want to delete this item. So first of all, we have to store that information and we have to display that information there. So I'm going to use a new item here. So we just used a map function and we already used this kind of information there. But here I'm going to use a div, a division. And I'm going to close the division here too. That's fine. So in that division, we're able to see H2 as well as the division. And I'm going to use this delete button after the H2. I'm going to use that after that H2. Okay. Very similar to this, I'm going to use the H4. It's better to use H5 for displaying the data here. H5, that's fine. We just use the h5 for displaying the data. So what we have to do, we have to get that information from the date field. So we have to use item dot date, right? So we just use that one, date and info. Okay. So very similar to this, we have to use item dot info, and we have to use key prop for the division, not for h2, because this is the root element here. Okay. So let me save this and execute in the browser again. So yes, now let me enter hi is the message, and now we are able to see. So 30, and this is the time we entered this message. So it's better to use the class name. So we use the class name, that is h2. Instead of h2, I'm going to use another item. So that is something like div container. I just used a div container. And in to-do list also, I'm going to use that class name. So that is, yes, here class name equals to div container. All right. So let me save this and execute in the browser again. So let me add the sample message. Sample message, and click on button, and yes. So we're able to see that information along with the date, time, as well as the message. So we use the class name, that is div container. So we already implemented that. Yes, this is div container, the spelling mistake. Div container. And now we're able to see that information here. And very similar to this, I'm going to add the new message. So this is a React session. And can add. Now we're able to see that this is a React session. All right. I'm going to add another item, that is hello everyone, and click on this plus button. Now we're able to see that information. So this is 17 seconds, and this is 58 seconds, and then minute also changed here, and 21 seconds. So let me delete the item from here. I'm going to delete that item. So let me click on delete. That's okay. And now we're able to see that information. So the information gets deleted. Very similar to this, I'm going to delete the first item, that is the sample message. If you click on this delete, yeah, that is also deleted. So this is how we're going to do the to-do list application. Is that clear, everyone? Now, so we are just storing the information in the format of an object. Is it clear, everyone? The delete operation is very similar, but we used an object-like style for getting for storing information in the format of an object. Is it clear, everyone? Kindly respond in the chat box. If you want me to show the code, I will show the code also. It's clear. What about others? Clear. A little confused because I know, I came to understand that in the date function, I think. So Divya is also responded, Divya Aleti. So yes, are clear. Okay. So Divya also responded, okay. So I know where you confused. So we are just storing that information in the format of object. Yes, where is Fatima? Fatima is clear or confused? I will show the code. Fatima, is it clear? show the code. Definitely I will show the code. Let me open the code part. So if you observe this, we are storing the data here in the format of an object. So first of all, we are getting information from the date field. That means we are storing the date also, date as well as the time also. That is the reason I took a variable. I took a variable and I stored this information there. So we know by using backtick symbol, we can concatenate the string values combined together like this. And I also used this dot set state method for storing that information in the format of an object. So yes, clear. So we will send the feedback link tomorrow for this session. So this is all about the to-do list. This is not a simple logic. We are explaining the entire logic here. If you want to apply the styles, that is also fine for us. So we can apply the styles also. So I'm going to apply few kinds of style. So here we used H5, H5, H2, and a button also. I'm going to use styles for this. So delete button and H2 and H5. So we already created a button, that is delete button. I'm going to use the delete button here. Delete button, and I'm going to use the background property, background, and that is red color. I'm going to use the color is as triple F, is white color. So very similar to this, I'm going to add the styles for H2. H2, that is color. So most of the cases we have to get the color codes from the external website, that is HTML color codes. So I'm going to use HTML color codes. And this is the HTML color codes point, and we can get that information from here. Let me use that 5D. Yes, you can copy this. Copy this, and we have to use that in our application, that is color. That's fine. So we have to use the small case letters in the coding part. This is F and this is B. Okay. And delete button, for delete button also we have to specify color. I'm going to use another color. I think this color is fine. Just copy this color. So we have to use that for background. So that is something like E8 210D. Alright. So this is the color code, and we have to apply the border color. So hash 9D. I'm going to use border 1px solid, and we have to use the color code. So that is something like 9D 1708. Okay. So we used H2, and similarly I'm going to use H5. So we used H5, right? So I'm going to use font style first. That is italic. I'm going to use the color. So the color here is very light color. I'm going to use, that is this one, 877A79. Similarly, for div container, I'm going to add a sample color. So that is E2D triple E. Hash E2D triple E. Alright, so let me save this and execute in the browser once. So this is all the data. This is all data. So this is a React session. Let me create another one. So this is the sample message. And press on button. It's fine, but we are not able to see any kind of border. It's better to use the border for this. So border, that is 2px. So now we are able to see that border here. Border also. If you want to maintain a hash table 0 for black color, that is also fine. Like this. And very similar to this, we can add multiple colors, multiple messages. So this is the sample project. This is the sample project. That here. That's fine. So very similar to this, when we are going to delete this from here, I'm going to click on delete button. So that message gets deleted. If you want to delete the first message, let me click on this, and that message is also deleted. And if you want to click this for deleting, that is also deleted. So this is all about. So there is an exam for certification. Yes, we have. Can you go through website like enter course PDF? So please provide material handout for React for practice. Oh, definitely. Enter course PDF for practice. So Durga Vasu sent you a java t-point.com react.js.course. Okay. So whatever it may be, the courses are fine, but you have to practice each and every concept. Don't depend upon the theoretical part. That is very, very important because we have to practice more on the examples. So try to create your own examples and practice based on that. That is beneficial for us. Okay, so now it's time to wind up the session for today, and we'll continue tomorrow. So tomorrow is the last session for this React course, and you will have an exam tomorrow, and we have to complete the pending topics, that is Webpack and Babel. So we have a pending topic, that is Webpack and Babel. We will discuss about that tomorrow, and we have another project. Can we have any project in that exam, or you are asking sample? So definitely you have to submit a project. Definitely I will give you a project for you all guys. So we have to submit that, and we will share a sheet, and we will share a sample set and to exam. Is tomorrow the last session? Yes. Sir, how to send the project execution? Fatima responded the above message. I did see the message also. I'm not able to get you, Fatima. What is this? So how to send the project execution? I'm not able to see that message properly. Okay, so let me wind up the session for today, and we'll continue tomorrow. Fatima and Srival, all this stuff. Okay.